Hey Ratbags, it's Jade today going over all of the new images that have been added to the Grounded Founders Pack art book. We get some glimpses at maybe a assault mace but been turned into a barred weapon. Healthy dose of speculation about what we could see in terms of ammo in the future or bombs. And could we get the WAFT emitter return in a new form? Big shout out to Eater of Worms, aka Cook Shrimp, aka Shrimper, aka Shrimp for these. He pulled them off for me. I got a copy of it at least, but I didn't want to install it and download them all. There's definitely some interesting stuff, like we've got here the sweet potato and carrots that look pretty purple. There definitely are some of these actual crops in the actual game, but whether or not we're going to be able to do anything with them in the future, probably not. But I have been thinking, wouldn't it be amazing to have a potato gun? Whoa there Jade, Grounded can't have guns, the devs have said they're never adding guns. Fine, why not call it the potato lobber? Maybe it's like a slingshot, maybe it's a rocket launcher style that will fire potatoes that will explode and basically do lots of shrapnel damage. And for sure, I do think they should add some sort of potato ammo to turrets. Wouldn't that be sweet if you could actually fire from the turrets at least? Spud guns were big in the game when I was a kid. Back there then in them olden days. But yeah, we need more uses for these crops. Likelihood is we will absolutely use them in the future for more recipes. But I don't know, I was just thinking a bit out of the box. Or out of the packet. You get me? You get me? Anyway, right, carry on. Nice bit of concept art of the helicopter that you can see in the Axel boss arena. Seems pretty obvious to have this here, but do you know there was once a helicopter in Grounded 1? The devs messed around with it, it was never meant to be added to the game, it was purely just for fun and pissing around. I got that first hand from some of the developers when I interviewed them once. OG Grounded fans and Ratbags will know I showed it off a bunch of times, and it was very basic, like made out of stems, a chair and not much else. But imagine, just imagine, some more complicated machinery you could use to get around the park. I'm not saying a full-blown helicopter, but it could be really cool to have some sort of proper glider or something. And we did see that they were maybe experimenting with mosquitoes in some way, shape or form. And we do think we're going to get bees in the future, given there is a bee inside the flower bed in the south of the statue. The devs have kind of hinted at it heavily. What about a bug that's actually got mechanical parts to it, on an experiment or something? Of the lime tree, also with a lot more of the green kind of gunk around the bottom, which to be fair I don't think it actually has in game. And then we got some concepts I'm guessing for some of the Founders Pack furniture, or hopefully any kind of furniture. I don't know why, obviously they just run out of time, but to have no furniture, brand new stuff at least anyway for players, unless you bought the Founders Pack most recently, that is big time sucky. I do kind of like the concept of bones here, but it would then have to be a resource that we can gather maybe. So you can understand why they probably ditched it and moved on to other concepts. And then more pine table stuff that we obviously saw actually arrive, like the chair. And some of these I do believe are directly lifted from the Founders Pack, how they ended up turning out. So yeah, Grounded at the moment is kind of meant to be very tropical with the starting gear and some of the decorations that we have got, like the tribal chair as well as the signs. But yeah, I'll be totally down to see more refinement of this or even more of this kind of stuff added. The one that's caught my Discord's attention today was this. Could this be a new WAFT emitter? It seems kind of overcomplicated just for a decoration, and it's made out of a whole plethora of bug parts, not to mention fresh mint stuff. I don't know, there might be a possibility. There's a few different faces here. Obviously got the caterpillar, then below it I do believe that's the bee. People are pointing out that this might not just be a black ant soldier, but maybe a black ant queen or an orc variant, given the purple eyes. If you're new to Grounded, the WAFT emitter allows you to summon a wave of bugs in a defense kind of attack little mini game, and you can earn raw science from it. So it's a great way to recycle a bunch of bug parts, and at the moment Grounded desperately needs more ways to generate raw science. Also interesting that they left this in the game as well on its own standalone. It's coloured as well, unlike a lot of the other concept art. But yeah, the WAFT emitter was just a dead Ladybug carcass pretty much before. Now they may have done something a bit more different, than summoning bug waves to attack you. So just theory and speculation, it could just be a decoration. If you notice that you can't actually get to level 5, seems with all this new furniture they didn't actually add another cozy level just yet. Hopefully that will come in the spring or summer. And some other bits, I like the chest in this, I've got to say. The rest of it is, yeah, again, bits that we've seen already from the Founders Pack. I've got no problem with the Founders Pack in the future, just wish they'd saved it until actual full release. Just called it the supporters pack, whatever. It's pretty clear to me this pack will also be something you can buy even after Grounded's left early access. And then this is interesting. Is this meant to be gravestones or markers? And then what's going on with these grass planks? Like clearly like window shutters? But I don't know, it seems like an odd one to have. Also, the little kind of board with lines on it and stuff does make you wonder why we haven't seen them try and attempt some sort of mini game. I mean, as players, we can create our own tic-tac-toe, or noughts and crosses as it should be called. It would be interesting if there was like an actual board game thing that you could place down, and when you go into it, you almost go into another little mini game with other players to play something. As here's where things get really, really cool, as well as maybe a bit bittersweet that some of these concepts we're never going to see. Obviously we have got the loot bow and we know what it looks like in the final form. I'm not too actually sold on having the actual loot be a bit more green and actually more pronounced. Effectively they want you to pretend you're a bard with this class, hence why they was almost considering having an instrument. But something I really noticed was, take a look at this flute. It really does remind me of something like the obviously salt mace that we had from Grounded 1. And I know it's a flute, but imagine if it get repurposed like that for the future update. I think salt won't actually be here until nearly the end of the game when they add the actual new big playground. If it's going to have sand like we think it will, probably bring back things like the antlines and a lot more. But equally, could be just a concept that they kind of ditch, since there doesn't seem to be any kind of other thing pointing to a musical weapon. If they ever did add something like this, it'd surely be transforming or telling other creatures to fight by your side, or lure them into hypnotic state so you can then go and hit them and do more crit damage or something. And moving on to some more weapons, we obviously got the Sour Katanga, and obviously it went through some variants. The Tang Banger, and they obviously spent a lot of time on Caustic Ruin, aka Acid Ruin. Like, Caustic Ruin's what it's named in the patch notes, but I swear it's Acid Ruin. And how many of you actually noticed that some of the armour, actually quite a few sets, now do glow in the dark, not just the Rust Beetle armour. It looks like at one point they were considering having the Wizard's hat from Grounded 1 be like the main kind of headpiece for this, but they've stuck with the kind of bombardier, I guess, stylings all throughout. And the Shell Shocker shield, anyone notice it looks a bit familiar to the Silverfish shield that was in Grounded 1 was cut content? I mean, I guess all heavy long shields are going to be a bit like, obviously definitely with the gem and the kind of, I guess, tapered bottom of it. I actually really do like the Shell Shocker though much more in terms of overall design. And yes, that's an earwig sword. It was listed in the patch notes. It seems it was a mistake. It wasn't meant to be the earwig sword. It was meant to be the Dusk Fangs. I don't really see this sword ever coming back by looks of things, and I'm kind of glad because it does kind of look a bit crap. I do much prefer the look of the new earwig weapons. And yeah, nothing crazy going on with some of these shots, no like big reveals. Just interesting to see what their original concepts might have been and how they evolved. Although there's a few things with a Ladybug turret and stuff, like, remember, they did say they might revisit this in the future to make it better. We are expecting them to add a little side-on where you'll be able to, I guess, harvest resources. Whether or not it's going to be stone or grass, we're not too sure. It's simply labelled Saddle Explorations, but devs did say they want to add another utility for the Ladybug at the moment. So yeah, there could be an additional way to utilise the Ladybug in future. What I found really interesting was the different types of bombs or ammo that we could potentially have had instead of just water. Reminds me of some fan art that got drawn really recently by X-Mentions, and obviously the devs had similar ideas. Now could this come back? What if my slingshot or launcher idea isn't just for potato bombs, instead it could be mixing potato bits with candy to make these brand new bombs? Maybe you'd only be able to go ahead and use the launcher with them instead of just throwing or dropping. I know some people are a bit sad that the saddle doesn't fire the regular stuff that you get from the turrets, but I kind of at least like it because it does feel like it's very different, and the water shots at the moment are OP due to a glitch, but against flying creatures, even without that, they're pretty strong. It is really nice to just run around and grab water instead of always worrying about having 20 different types of ammo on you. But again, if they're going to do any revamping of the Ladybug or saddle in the future, then this could be something we could see. We've already got the Tang bomb, so why not have fresh, spicy and maybe salty as well. And some nice concepts of the cricket and how it's moving. Obviously we still want to maybe see it as a mount one day, that'd be really cool. The woody aphid or a spicy aphid even. Gonna have to bug some of the Grounded bug experts to see if there's a spicy variant in real life. Maybe they'll add it to the playground desert theme that we're expecting, lots of sand there as well. And yeah, a little bit disappointed so far, we ain't got much use out of the fireflies other than just the helmet. Maybe there could be some more armor that comes, or I'm saying it, I want that trinket. Give me a light that is a trinket instead of always having to basically use in the dark two-handed weapons, or sacrifice your amazing build to wear the lamp. Yes, we all know there is things like flares and stuff, but come on, how many people really use them? Make it happen, Obsidian. Give us a proper trinket that gives us a nice warm glow and even more use out of the fireflies. Then more on the chrysalis, obviously originally caterpillars or whatever it is. Lots of you nerds as well been telling me this shouldn't actually turn into a caterpillar. It should be some sort of moth. Shout out to ITW and a couple others, to be fair, that said that as well. There's not a huge amount of butterflies in the gardens. Like, yeah, there's a few, but maybe that could be, we could see the return of the moth in the future. It would be gnarly to see actual moths like breaking free from their cocoons and stuff. Our favourite friend, the wasps, yes. They're okay. They're not as bad as I thought they would be once you've got the right gear and mindset to take them on. I'm still not a big fan of the new wasp armour. Well, I like its abilities, but I just don't necessarily vibe with the look. It does feel like the pumpkin head for the scarecrow is kind of underutilised, having just some orc earwigs in it as a creature to fight. It does feel like that would have been a good place for some sort of boss fight. And I'm sick and tired of people saying, oh, the devs said bosses weren't returning. Yeah, well, say hello to the Sour Broodmother. It's a boss. At this point, with no repeatable bosses really other than Axel, I think most of us wouldn't care, and we'd love to see some returning bosses from Grounded 1, still while they're working on new ones. And then more of the laboratory, and this was a really cool area, like this did go, ooh, look at the lights in here and stuff. And that is pretty much it. Again, big shout out to Eater of Worms for downloading and giving me all these pictures. Stay tuned in the future, as I'll always come back to this once it's had an update, see if there's anything been added sneakily, or give us hints and clues about what the future could be, with a healthy dose of speculation. Till then, laters, ratbags.